Welcome to another episode of Fantasy News. I am your disheveled goblin host, Daniel Greene, and what do you think of the new setup? Let me know in the comments down below. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Include the green screen, or no? It's not necessary, and we should move on. But first up today, we have an update from the author of The Poppy War, Rebecca Kwong. She has tweeted out, and the revised draft of The Burning God is off to the editors. Trilogy complete. Cracks knuckles. Now, for you, Book 4, Devil Face Emoji. So, obviously, this is a bit of a surprise for fans. The top response to this right now is Book 4? And I agree, I wasn't aware of there being a Book 4 planned, but note she did specifically say that this is the end of a trilogy. To me, at least, that signifies that an arc is complete, and we'll be picking up a part 2 with a maybe whole new trilogy. She hasn't specified. That's intentional. Definitely intentional there. So maybe she doesn't even know, maybe we're not supposed to know. I don't know. I'm definitely excited to hear this, though. The Poppy War is one of the best fantasy series currently in the works based off the first 2 entries, and I cannot wait to get my hands on The Burning God. And of course, you know how I just reviewed author Cixin Liu's 3-Body Problem? Well, Tor.com has announced To Hold Up the Sky, a collection of science fiction stories from the man, the myth, the notable up-and-comer within science fiction. The collection includes stories called Contraction, Full Spectrum Barrage Jamming, The Village Teacher, Fire in the Earth, Time Migration, Ode to Joy, Cloud of Poems, Mirror, Sea of Dreams, Cloud of Poems, The Thinker. I don't know if Cloud of Poems being on there twice is a mistake or a intentional choice. I am actually even more curious. If you have never read collections of sci-fi short stories before, they actually tend to be really good, especially from minds like Cixin Liu's. I'm just a big fan of sci-fi short stories. They're usually extremely thought-provoking, and these kind of authors who just devote their minds to crafting these interesting ideas to compel their audience to go deeper usually execute these premises very well. And it's not necessarily hardcore fantasy news, but it's big enough news, especially for Star Wars fans, that I'm going to talk about it early on, basically right now. Let's just jump into it. It has been confirmed that Rosario Dawson has been cast to play Ahsoka in a live-action appearance within the show The Mandalorian Season 2. I know Star Wars fans are going to be ecstatic about this, and I don't blame them. This is big news. Ahsoka has been a fan favorite for the Star Wars community since her appearance in The Clone Wars, and people have been begging for years to see a live-action version of her. I think Rosario Dawson is an extraordinary pick for the role. Definitely a talented actress who can bring a lot of charisma to a character that earns it. Like, Ahsoka's badass. Can we just agree on that? Ahsoka's great. The last time I'm aware of her being seen was in Star Wars Rebels and a couple novels since then, so The Mandalorian is, for me, the best possible news for Ahsoka to be making her first appearance, because it's the best version of Star Wars currently out there right now. Insert a bunch of angry Star Wars comments. I'd be very hesitant to buy into an Ahsoka movie, because I think the Star Wars movies should gear towards Old Republic now. A full live-action TV series devoted to her would be interesting, but a testing of Ahsoka in The Mandalorian, for me, is a great way to see if the character can pull over to live action. If you haven't seen Star Wars Clone Wars, really Ahsoka's arc is arguably the best of the shows in terms of character from beginning to end and her final fate. I don't want to spoil it for those of you who are not aware. But yes, Ahsoka will be coming to the live-action Star Wars realm. There is a rumor circling that Warner Bros. Is considering releasing Wonder Woman 1984 straight to streaming services. Now, obviously, with the news of all these movies being pulled from theaters or released early that are in theaters to streaming services, this isn't crazy surprising. Hell, even Onward, which has been in theaters for only a couple weeks, is apparently going to be released to streaming services now. Wonder Woman could be the possible ultimate test to see if it is financially viable to just release a movie straight into homes once it's finished without necessarily needing a movie theater, because it's definitely the biggest one that's coming straight to streaming services if this is true without even touching theaters. Or maybe they'll do a limited release in some places that can manage it. But I'm really excited to hear this. This is neat, to say the least. I hope it does happen because I want this experiment. I know this isn't exactly like the time to be into experimenting, but I'm at least keeping myself busy by watching how this is all going to play out. In a last-minute update, Warner Brothers has just denied the rumors that Wonder Woman 1984 will go straight to streaming services and say no, they're going to wait it out and put it in theaters. Crap. I really wanted to see this. I wanted to see what kind of numbers Wonder Woman could break in going straight into your homes, but Warner Bros. Apparently isn't down. So I get it. I understand. It's a big risk, and if they hold off, it could be something that they just, get the standard return on. Whatever. Okay, fine. Now, as I briefly mentioned, Disney is dropping Onward straight to streaming services in an attempt to make it financially successful. Well, of course, theater attendance is basically collapsed. In fact, we've even seen headlines where movie theaters are trying to look for some form of bailout from the government because they cannot sustain themselves. What's going on? I'm really interested in this. I don't know why. It's just fascinating me to look into what the box office results could be and how they'll be counted. If suddenly with this straight to streaming release, if these movies start making record-breaking money, will that be counted or no, because it's extreme circumstances? I don't know. And even though it was just released, we are seeing the new Doom game reduce its price from the standard premium $60 for new games right now to just below $50. So if you just bought the game, maybe you can give it a return and repurchase so you could save yourself $10. I'm not entirely sure why this is happening, probably due with all the crazy stuff going on, but this started at Walmart, and from what I'm seeing, other competitors are matching this price as well. Now let's just talk about a couple quick trailer pieces of news we have. Harley Quinn Season 2, the trailer dropped. It looks like what you'd expect. And What We Do in the Shadows Season 2 trailer dropped as well. There also is a very unreliable rumor going around the internet right now that Robert Downey Jr. is lowering his asking price to return to the MCU. Not only is this rumor stemming from WeGotThisCovered.com, an extremely unreliable website as I've recently been made aware of. I'm not saying this 100% will not happen, just that the articles currently saying that Downey is for sure lowering his asking price are basing it off of him having one movie flop and a completely anonymous source. This ignores the fact that the MCU is clearly heading in a direction where his legacy, instead of him being alive, will play a role. If Robert Downey Jr. was to return, it would most likely be as an AI and nothing more. Even that could be seen as a tarnishing to his character arc. We've even seen Robert Downey Jr. say in podcasts and the such that he is not necessarily interested in returning to the character.
The door to Iron Man totally closed? Because I don't believe it is.
Oh.
You guys can go through time now. You can go, you already opened up that door.
Let me ask you the question. If I pick the jersey back up and put it on, wouldn't you feel a little bit so to answer your question, to me, starting up again is off the table. I feel I've done all I could with that character. There would have to be a super compelling argument and a series of events that made it obvious to it. But the other thing is, I want to do other stuff.
Right, of course.
Guys, this head cold is rapidly starting to kick my ass, but I want to do a last minute news update for this video because a couple quick things have popped up. One, the actor Jake Johnson, who voiced Spider-Man in Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse, is doing this badass thing where he's calling kids who might be quarantined and giving them a message from the web slinger. Jake Johnson, you're amazing. I love you. There is now a pretty big rumor going around that this Ahsoka casting is a lead up to her own spin-off series, which I am totally down for. Rosario Dawson's great. This seems cool. Hell yeah. And finally, we also had a Stormlight archive update posted to the subreddit from Brandon Sanderson himself, and in the comments, he confirmed they'll be doing the weekly type releases like they did for Oathbringer. Sorry this wasn't done better. I just feel like crap. It's just the common cold. Missed me with a lot of other crap. But yeah, I got the cold and I need these to be done. Consider me down and out for the count for the rest of the weekend because I need to work on this. I do have a backlog of videos though. So Jim Butcher interview still coming Tuesday. Now I want to end this episode of Fantasy News with one fairly cool update and recommendation. The reading service Scribd is offering a free 30-day trial to help combat boredom right now. Keep yourself occupied. No credit card required. I'm not being paid to talk about this. I just think it's a neat deal. They have a lot of titles available for you, and with 30 days of just going through them, you can test out this service and see if you like it. This is actually anti-me making money because I have Audible affiliate links that you can get through going through my Amazon. So yes, this is a genuine recommendation that if you'd like to check out a lot of literary titles for free for the next 30 days, no credit card required, script is the way to go. I do need to clarify real quick that you have to use a specific promotional link that I'll have, of course, linked right down there. And it's working for me. I didn't put in any credit card information, and I'm listening to American Gods as I'm editing this video as like a fun go back and re-listen to a great book moment. Swear to God, not being paid for this. I just know audiobooks are expensive for a lot of people, and this is a massive library you can comb through and get through as much as possible before this 30-day free trial is up, and then just stop using it. Don't give them your credit card. It's cheaper than Audible, but I think Audible has a much bigger collection. I don't know, you figure it out. I'm not being paid. You do the research. Now, granted, you have to sign in with something like Google, so I'm sure you might be getting annoying emails to unsubscribe to. I hate that, but I understand a lot of people might be tightening down the budget, and a way to kill time is to do something that has no real commitment here. And this is ebooks and audiobooks, so you get both worlds. It actually has more options than Audible in that way, so check it out if you're interested. Of course, I'll have a link right down there. It just took me about 3 minutes to get in, and honestly, they have some fairly neat recommendations. I'm seeing American God, Lord of the Rings, all kinds of really nice fantasy titles, and yeah, I got an email. But it's a company doing something kind of cool. I'm sure it's a nice marketing move for them as well, because they're going to get a bunch of free press, Exhibit A. But hey, you know what? Take advantage of it and just don't sign up and don't put in your credit card ever, and you'll be good. This has been your latest episode of Fantasy News. I'm your disheveled goblin host, Daniel Greene, and please let me know what you think of the new setup in the comments down below. Like and subscribe if you have not already. Hit the Patreon if you want to support what I do here. And have a good one, y'all. Peace. And of course, I'd like to record a special shout out to my latest high-tier Patreon, Jason, Michael, Aries. I would do a normal one, but when I started this recording, Pips was in my lap. The second I started talking, though, he jumped out. So now I could have done a normal one, but I'm still gonna do a video because I don't want to get up and restart my mic right now. I'm kind of sick. No, I just have a cold.